I never realized you thought of me as reckless, Tuvok.
Hey everybody, we are talking about Kate Mulgrew, the legendary Captain Janeway, is talking to her Voyager co-stars about returning to Star Trek. And I'm not talking about Prodigy or as voice, but as live action. I think, right, Shane?
I love that. I think.
I just realized that maybe I read it wrong. So you know better than I do.
Well, there's no actual proof or discussion on what we know for sure right now is that Kate Mulgrew is playing Admiral Janeway and Hologram Janeway in Prodigy, and she may have recently given away that she might be playing Captain Janeway on Prodigy. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But she's playing at least two characters on that show, the one made for the kids. But what we do know is that lately she's been talking about about Voyager to her co-stars, possibly about returning in some way. And I think what happened was back in 2018, Kate Mulgrew was interviewed, and she said, I played the character for 7 years. I just don't know why I would want to revisit it. And then Picard came out, and all of a sudden she had this interesting change of heart and said, well, I think she was like worried she couldn't pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then she saw Patrick Stewart come back and kind of do like a half version of.
She saw Patrick Stewart come back
Jean-Luc
and hobble onto screen with his walker. Hey,
right. So like, they're carting him around. Okay, no, that's easy.
Make it
okay,
so.
He doesn't go anywhere.
She saw the geriatric version of Picard, and she's like, "Oh, I can do better than that."
Yeah, she's like, "I can do that still, no problem." And so the idea, I think, for her is like, well, wait a second. If they're going to do a Picard and they're going to do a Next Generation, why not do something about Voyager? And I think that's what's kind of going through her head right now. And I got to tell you, if you're old enough, like I am, and Brian, I don't know if you remember it, but when Voyager first came out and Captain Janeway was going to be the captain of a starship, this just shows you how misogynistic the 80s were.
Right.
Late 80s, right?
Whoa, you gonna put a broad in front of the no, bro.
Yes, a lot of people said a woman cannot be the captain of a starship.
What a mistake that was.
Very plainly said and very plainly agreed upon by most people. So listen, when you hear women complaining about how women were treated, yeah, it was true.
Yeah, it was the 80s. That was like the cocaine fueled days.
Well, they were still hitting on their women at work.
Yeah, they were still smacking rears on the way out of the office.
Yes, it was still happening. But pleasantly, she fooled them all. She came on board, and she played the role, in my opinion, kind of like Katharine Hepburn. Like, I know she kind of came in, and she very much reminded me of that type of, like that actress.
Mm-hmm.
And she came in and she basically did Picard, kind of, in my opinion. She came in and she became like this ideal Starfleet captain.
Mm-hmm.
And she is right up there as one of my favorites. I love that her unwavering sense of duty to Starfleet at all costs, and I know it's a joke right now. Sometimes people talk about how, oh yeah, really, you're not going to try to get your crew home and like bend a few rules and make that happen, because she wouldn't. And there's something about that I really respected. And so she's become one of my favorites. So if they bring back Voyager, I'm all for it.
That episode where they were like using like the sentient life forms as like fuel for their ship. Remember that?
Right. I remember that.
And like when Voyager found out, she when Jamie found out what was going on, she like condemned them. I'm like, well, I mean, first off, I don't know if they knew that they were sentient per se.
Mm-hmm.
To them, they were just like they're life forms. Like they could be animals, and like, oh, it's fuel. Like I had no problem with them using these random like life forms that they didn't know if they were like higher form life forms or just like whatever, use them as fuel. Get home,
I mean, I hear you, and I think that's what makes us like her, is that she wouldn't do that, like at any cost. Like there was no, there was no bend to her character. And I think as human beings, we can really appreciate somebody who is true to their character, regardless what it is, and they're unwavering about who they are.
Right.
And I think that that's the one thing. And they make fun of her now and kind of stuff like that. But when you look back of all the captains you wanted running your ship, if you wanted things to be done the right way or to get done safely, you probably trusted her as much as you trusted anybody.
Yeah, no, my favorite show growing up was Voyager.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, it's number 3 for me, but gosh darn it, they're so close. Like TOS, TNG, and Voyager are like so close to each other in my mind.
Yeah, when I say my favorite, it's like, it's barely my favorite. It's like,
yeah,
because I love TNG too. But I feel like there's a lot of TNG I disliked when there was less Voyager I disliked.
That's fair. Yeah, there was a lot of side shoot stuff with the Klingons. I think that was a little bit, a lot of the Worf centered stories, which were good, still kind of took away a little bit, I think, from what we were doing. And I would say some of the Borg stuff with Picard, as deep as that went, maybe a little bit. And Voyager had its own, too much Borg for me was a problem.
Yeah, Voyager was a tad more episodic, I think. Maybe because they had less seasons. I don't know.
TNG was episodic too. I mean,
was that they were both episodic, but they had a lot of long running plots in TNG. When the main long running plot for Voyager was getting home.
I mean, that's a pretty big plot.
Yeah,
and they had a Borg thing quite a while.
They did during the Scorpion episodes.
Yeah. But anyway, so what happened basically here? So getting back to the story, let's see, Kate Mulgrew said that she was hinting that there could be even more Star Trek for Janeway in the future, above and beyond the show that she's currently on, Prodigy. In June, Trek Movie reported on a couple of different interviews where Kate teased the idea of returning to live action Star Trek. This is when she was in the UK promoting the launch of Paramount Plus. Some comments were followed up on, and she revealed that she isn't alone in thinking about returning to live action. In fact, she's been talking about it with some of her Voyager co-stars. She said, "We're always talking. I mean, my great friends are Robert Picardo, of course, who played the EMH, and John Delancey, who played Q. We're always touching down and crossing paths. And when we do talk about Star Trek, all of us are just so amazed that it constantly is reinventing itself. I think that fact only speaks to its sort of undying virtues. I know Jerry Ryan loves doing Picard, and I know that all of us would love to continue when the opportunity presents itself. We'll always do more Star Trek. When the opportunity presents itself." You notice she didn't say if the opportunity presents itself.
Right. She said when.
Yeah. So I just have this feeling that if Picard's, and this is critical, if Picard season 3 comes off as a TNG send-off, a proper one, and it's good, and I do think it can be good, even though we've had some questionable couple first 2 seasons, that would totally open the way for a Voyager short comeback series or something.
Right. I mean, why? Yeah. I mean, if it turns out well, why can't you do a Star Trek Janeway?
Right. Or something. You've already got 7 of 9 back and doing her thing. Why couldn't she come back and do something after Picard?
Yeah. Kate Mulgrew is only 67 years old, man. She's not even that old.
Yeah, no, she can 100% come back and play the role. Maybe it would be kind of a cool story too if somehow she got sent back out to the Delta Quadrant in some way, shape, or form, or wouldn't that be interesting?
I don't know. I don't know about. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's going out there with some new engine because to help bring species into the Federation. That would be interesting.
Well, I think there would be some sort of interesting tie-in to. They would have to have something tied into Voyager where somehow something happened out there in where they need her to come back, right? Because of some problem out there. And I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah, well, imagine if she was acting as a diplomat or something. This is what she looks like now. She does not look. Yeah. She can pull it off. Way younger than Patrick Stewart. Let's be honest.
Well, she is way younger than he.
Way younger.
Yeah, way younger. So she totally can still do it. And I hope she does. And I hope Robert Picardo comes back. I don't know why Robert Picardo is not doing more stuff. He did some Orville, but that EMH, they can do anything with him. He can be anywhere and any time and do anything.
I know. I could tell you why, though. It's because he looks so much older than the original EMH.
Well, they can explain that. I mean, look what they did with Q.
I mean, they did that with Q and Data, but as much as I love Robert Picardo and the EMH, Q and Data are like they're icons, and they're not on the same level as the EMH.
Well, I'll tell you, Robert Picardo is right up there as one of the people that made Voyager.
Yeah, I mean, I love Robert Picardo, and I agree with you. I think Data is just a more popular character.
Yeah, I mean, Data's right there next to Spock. Probably.
One of my favorite characters of all time in Stargate ended up being Woosley.
Who?
The guy Robert Picardo played the character.
Oh, Woosley in Stargate. I see. Yeah.
Because he
actually ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, they made him like this little Weasley little politician or whatever. Then you started off hating him, and you slowly started to love this guy because even though he was he was the antagonist for a while, he was still a moral antagonist.
Right.
And very, very good actor. Yeah, I would love to see Star Trek. Janeway.
Wouldn't it be great?
Or the Admiral or something like that,
Well, yeah, I mean, even if it was like a Voyager type of spinoff or something. I just saw the actor that plays Neelix. He was on Better Call Saul as one of the judges.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He's still acting.
That's
I mean,
funny.
it could be interesting.
He played a judge in Boston Legal too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks right for that.
Oh,
He's balding and yeah. I would love to see anything. I mean, listen, I know everybody's saying just make some new Star Trek. Let's just go. Do we have to have member berries and all this stuff? I don't know, man. I'm almost 50 years old. To see Voyager crew again would be good for me.
Well, I mean, I don't mind having a brand new crew and all that nonsense, but we already saw how that worked out, and it didn't work out. Yeah,
it's scary,
So
because Picard had all new people except for 7 and 9.
Right. So what you should do is it's okay to start with a connection to the past, and then maybe slowly move it into a new crew or something. What if it's a Voyager continuation with a new Voyager crew and new adventures, but maybe it starts with their first mission is to take Admiral Janeway to the Delta Quadrant for some emergency or whatever. And then we get to know the crew, and then you can continue on the series or not. I don't know. All I know is this, is that Discovery was a brand new crew. It didn't work.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying you could do it right, but I don't trust these writers, these newer writers, to do that. I feel like they need a connection to the foundation that was already built in order to be remotely good enough to create Star Trek.
That's a good point. I think they definitely need to have I don't know if some of these writers need to come out of retirement and just say, look, this is how we did it. I don't know. I don't know what they need to do. Something needs to happen where they get out of the way they're doing Star Trek and they try to write it. They write it for the fans as opposed to for themselves. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what's going on. Atheist for the Cause said Tuvok was in the Orville. Yes, he was. Tim Russ was in the Orville. He was the archaeologist professor or whatever in that episode where Scott Grimes finds the cell phone.
Oh, that's right.
But here's the thing about Tim Russ. I really hate Twitter for this reason. I know exactly what Tim Russ is as a human being. And that if I see him on screen, that's going to immediately, I can't put that away now.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. If you guys want to continue liking characters in your favorite TV shows and movies, do not follow them on Twitter. All right, well, that said, hit that comment section and let us know what you guys think. And have you ever followed your favorite characters on Twitter and been disillusioned by... Let us know in the comment section.